Hello everybody, welcome to Planet SkyFF, the world where everything revolves around £50,000. My name is Suj.
And my name is James.
Any closer to 50 grand?
Well, what, next season? Yeah, next season's approaching.
Well, every day is one step closer to next season. Yes, we are kind of in the middle of a Sky Game Week because they don't differentiate between double game weeks in the same way as FPL. So we kind of 2 more days left, and then we're into the next set of 5 transfers that we can possibly maybe use.
No one's interested in my team because it's irrelevant at the moment.
Really?
How are you getting on, Suj?
Is it going? Have you gone forwards or backwards?
Same.
Oh, okay.
74 for the week so far. Made 2 transfers.
74 points.
Bought Canate, who's a doubt tonight. James Maddison. Yeah, he assisted last night, but no show on Saturday with his stomach bug.
Yeah.
Sold Zinchenko and Saka following the Friday night game. Captains Martinelli on Friday night, although Saka outscored him on this occasion. Saturday I captained Mo Salah. Sunday I captained Kieran Trippier for nothing despite the Tottenham mauling. Last night I captained Ollie Watkins for nada. 2 blanks in a row for Ollie Watkins. He's going tonight. I've got a transfer. I've thought about it long and hard, and I just can't decide whether to go Watkins to Haaland or not, but I might just do it.
How many transfers you got left?
7, and I know what I'm doing with all of them now.
Oh, really? Okay. So you and me are pretty close now on the old transfer count. I've only got 9 left, James.
Okay, rank?
Is 274.
Come on.
So another 90 places better than I was last week. I peaked at 222, which was after Saturday. But I didn't have Kane, and I, like you, went with Trippier. I had exactly the same, James, captains as you for 4 days. Martinelli, Salah, Trippier, and Ollie Watkins yesterday. The difference being I've made 3 transfers this week. I had 5 Arsenal, right? I had Gabriel, Saka, Jesus, Martinelli, so 4 Arsenal.
Bloody hell.
So I came off all of them.
Yep.
I came off 3 of them.
Mind you, I had 4 Arsenal as well.
I came off 3 of them. I kept Martinelli. He's the one that stayed.
Yeah.
I think it's fair. He probably stays at the end of the season. So we're very much in that mindset of transfers we're making now are slowly working towards season keepers. So, yeah. I bought, though, so who did I buy? I bought Ollie Watkins. I bought James Maddison. And I bought Diogo Jota.
Nice.
Jota's 17 points was well worth it. Ollie Watkins done...
That's non-captain 17, is it?
Yeah, non-captain 17. James Maddison was, like you said, no show, but then the assist yesterday. So 5 points over 2 games for Maddison. Not great, but he's there for captaincy for the Everton game. So he's being held for a while. Ollie Watkins was a daisy chain because I knew I wanted to go to Haaland. And I thought if I go to Watkins for 2 games with a captaincy to make it a 3... it's worth the transfer for 3 of Ollie Watkins. It wasn't in the end, but that's fine. So tonight, my plan is to sell Ollie Watkins for Erling Haaland, and I'll captain Erling Haaland. And tomorrow, I'm going to sell Ivan Toney and buy Marcus Rashford and captain Marcus Rashford. That will get me down to 7 transfers. But I'm then set up with Pope and Trippier, double Newcastle. There's no need to sell them.
No.
Dunk and Canate, no need to move them on. Like they're there for a while. Canate injury dependent, but I don't think he's out for long term, right? It's just a doubtful.
He's a doubt for tonight, that's all, yeah.
Martinelli, Salah, Jota, Maddison, and Rashford would be my midfield at the end of this game week. Maddison can go after the Everton Monday night game, but the others are fine to stick around, right? There's nothing wrong with Martinelli, Salah, Jota, or Rashford. And up top, I'll have Haaland and Rodrigo. Rodrigo's ready to move on. So I'll be coming off Maddison, Rodrigo towards Man City, Brighton. And I'll probably come off Pope as well to go to Man City defensive. Those are the 3 moves that I'm likely to do to get fixture gain. All the others are going to be luxury moves, mate.
Good. Fair enough.
So
I think...
still top hundreds to goal, mate.
Yeah, you can do it, mate.
Yeah.
I think I can't see me hitting top 1,000 now, to be honest. I just yo-yo between a couple of 100 places around about 1,800. That's it for me. But a good little strategy idea, I think, for people to consider at this stage is, I think many of you will be under probably 11 transfers now. Many of you would be sort of 6, 7, 8, I guess. It's a good idea, I think, to take stock, look at your team currently, and ask yourself, before anything else, who do you want to stay to the end?
Yeah.
With no reason to sell. So I've got 7 left. And there are 3 players who I look at and I go, definitely stay in from what I've got unless there's an injury.
Yeah.
Those 3 players are Kieran Trippier.
Yeah.
I'm going to need that Monday night now against Leicester, which we'll talk about in a second. Dunk and March to Brighton with the additional fixtures. Those 3
March
are non-movable a few weeks ago.
Okay.
He was part of the strategy that I needed the enabler to fit a few moves to allow me to go like Watkins to Haaland now, for example. So those 3, I think if you've got a Brighton asset at the moment, it's not going anywhere.
No. Or a City asset.
And there's a consciousness of captaincy further down the line. So on that note, we've obviously got the confirmation now of the additional fixtures and the order they've gone in. So firstly, it's worth saying, obviously, the City versus Leeds game obviously confirmed now, brought forward to Saturday the 6th of March. It was obviously originally scheduled for a Sunday. Very importantly, it's going to be a 3 p.m. kickoff. It is still going to be on Sky, but the only games on that Saturday now are the 3 o'clocks, and there's a 5:30 Liverpool versus Brentford. Now, why is that so important? We will see the City team against Leeds from a captaincy perspective on that day. West Ham's fixture with Brentford has naturally moved to Sunday the 14th because you're through to Conference League semi-finals. Congratulations. City's fixture with Everton stays on Sunday the 14th. And I think what's particularly important about that is the fact that the City game has stayed there. It can, in theory, make Arsenal assets expendable after the game with Chelsea, which is, of course, now next Tuesday. I think you can get through the rest without needing for a captaincy. I would say Saturday the 20th, they're probably best against Nottingham Forest, but you've obviously got a cluster of games where you can pick an alternative, such as a Salah at home to Aston Villa, for example. You're not going to kill yourself if you're stuck with that sort of thing. So that's worth bearing in mind. The Newcastle-Brighton fixture's gone in on Thursday the 18th. We've got Sunday the 21st. We've got City host Chelsea, Brighton against Southampton. That's moved to the Sunday because Brighton are on the Thursday night against Newcastle. And also we've got West Ham against Leeds is the early kickoff. We would see the Brighton lineup. You won't see the City lineup against Chelsea. The Monday night game has landed with Newcastle against Leicester. Single game day, Monday 22nd. So I think even worst case, you'd go in for a bit of extra on Thursday the 18th from Newcastle if you wanted to. Leicester, absolutely bizarrely, will play on 4 consecutive Mondays. Everton next Monday. The Fulham game is 3 o'clock on Monday the 8th. Liverpool single game day, Monday the 15th. And Newcastle away now Monday the 22nd. And yet, despite that, my intention would fully be to sell my one Leicester player, James Maddison, next midweek. Yeah, absolutely that. Because you've got the alternatives. Monday the 8th is a Brighton player against Everton, Liverpool against Leicester, and Newcastle against Leicester. I'm not captaining a Leicester player. The order of the City, Brighton, and United Chelsea rearranged games. So Brighton City at the Amex is Wednesday the 24th. Manchester United Chelsea Thursday the 25th. The scenario that I suggested might happen, where Manchester City would have 3-for-1s over the majority of the league right at the end, has landed. I don't know. I don't see the logic of why Manchester City are going off after Arsenal in match day 37, in the sense that they could have 2 games in hand with the title possibly still up for grabs right at the end. Doesn't make sense to me, but that's what they've done. But that means that's now the cut-off. That's Sunday the 21st. Whatever's left goes into Manchester City, as far as I'm concerned, unless they've got the title won, possibly. Yeah. And then you've potentially got rotation, etc., particularly, I think, between the Sunday and the Wednesday games. Obviously, they're in the cup final against Arsenal, Manchester United.
Are ahead going into Forest away, Wolves at home for the last 2. If Arsenal are in a position where they have to win the last 2 to win the title...
Well, there will be whatever happens, I should imagine.
Well, but they could be ahead, which means it guarantees it rather than they could be chasing.
Only if City really wet the bed, really.
It could happen. It's tonight.
Oh, yeah, Arsenal
tonight. Arsenal beat him tonight.
Arsenal can still win the league, but what I'm saying is I think to get to that point and for Arsenal not to need to win those games is probably still unlikely
Yeah,
at the point that they play
I'm saying,
Forest.
like, if it's in their hands, I might want a piece of Arsenal over City because they can push for it.
I get that. And as I said, I think when Arsenal play Forest Saturday the 20th, they are the best captaincy. But there are alternatives that day. With United going to Bournemouth and Liverpool hosting Villa. So you've got like a Rashford at Bournemouth. You've got a Salah at home to Villa. There are even Kane at home to Brentford is actually the early kickoff. Why BT Sport have decided that's the last 12:30 game they wanted to pick? Tottenham against Brentford. Fucking hell, have a word with yourselves. That's a strange one. But I think it leads to a plan where I just want to fix a couple of things and then what's left for me at the end, which will probably only be 2. Actually, I think after next midweek, just goes into City on that final Sunday. That's the plan. So my intention in terms of transfers, I've already said, is a Haaland for Watkins tonight.
Snap.
Odegaard to Rashford tomorrow.
Asterisk. I'll come back to that.
Okay. Raya, I think now probably the way it's landed to David De Gea on Sunday. They've kept... and I don't think anyone's noticed this, 6 clean sheets in the last 8 games, Manchester United in the Premier League. And there was another one, obviously, domestically against Brighton in the Cup semi at the weekend. They're obviously now out of Europe, so the rotation concerns off the table. Part of the thinking of it as well is just to give me Manchester United backup. So I go into Rashford and De Gea over the next couple. That's then my 2 if Rashford has a setback or is rested or something. Say for that Chelsea game right at the end. That should give me a guaranteed captaincy for that final Thursday fixture. And how many times have we been in that position where something's landed in the final midweek and it's like, I've got no transfers left.
Yeah.
And I think it's close enough between a him and Alisson. I'd rather have the captaincy back up is the decision that I'm probably going to make on that. Maddison's in place for Monday. I will still have Martinelli for next Tuesday. And then the plan is to sell him on for a Manchester City player next Wednesday. Okay.
I've only looked as far as this next couple of days, to be honest with you, James. I've kind of had a loose plan for further on, but it's a pretty obvious plan, which is look at the teams that have got more fixtures, Brighton, United, City. But for the next 2, I say asterisk around Rashford today, because I actually looked at tomorrow. I actually looked at skipping it for 2 reasons. The 2 players that I can sell to get to Rashford is either Ivan Toney, so I can sell him after his game today and get Rashford's fixture tomorrow away at Spurs. But then I miss Toney at home to Forest.
Yep.
So is it worth it? And the second one is Rodrigo, and I can sell him tomorrow and get Rashford at home to Toney. But then when Rashford's got Villa at home, he's got Bournemouth away. And West Ham, we just scored 4 there, although they're not in good form leads. So I'm not sure if going to Rashford...
You'd rather have Rashford in your team than Rodrigo?
Long term, yes. I don't know if in the short term, Tottenham away is the entry point.
He wasn't overly threatening last night. He played behind Bamford as well.
Yeah, as a 10. But he's played there before and he scored goals from there.
Yes.
It was a short-term punt. I think I might just dead the Rodrigo experiment, if I'm honest with you, and hold Toney and just go to Rashford. But I don't think over the next 2 games necessarily there might be a gain. But then Rashford's there, set up for Brighton.
Having held Toney through, don't want to sell him before he's got Forest at home.
No way. I want to keep him.
What's his ownership, top 1K? It's got to be quite low now, I imagine.
Top 1K.
So he's probably... Well, that's where you are.
27.6.
That's differential enough, isn't it? And arguably, you captain him Saturday, arguably.
Well, it's him or Lewis Dunk.
Yeah.
And I think I fancy... Like, Wolves have just scored 2 again yesterday. So they're chipping away with goals. They're not going explosive, but they're chipping away.
Yeah, but Joachim Anderson scored the first, and the second one was a penalty, which, if you've seen the incident, how Sam Johnson doesn't get sent off. It's definitely a red card.
But they have been chipping away with goals of Wolves. It's not like they've not been scoring 2s, 3s, 4s, but they have got 1s and 2s regularly enough recently.
Okay. But Dunk starts on 5, doesn't he? Probably.
He does start on 5, maybe
Wolves
10.
Possession a lot more now under Lopetegui than what it was previously before that. But I mean, for me, it'll be Dunk Saturday. Should we talk captaincy while we're doing it?
Yeah, that was where we were going. Haaland today.
I mean,
Salah. Many will still have Salah.
It's Haaland, isn't it?
It is Haaland.
Home at the Etihad. Yeah. Tomorrow night it's more interesting from that perspective. So my intention is to get Rashford. I'll only have Rashford and Trippier, therefore. I think once I get to that stage, it's Rashford for me.
It's Rashford, Trippier or Pope for me. I'll probably go with Rashford because I think I'll be covering off ownership. I would love to go Pope or Trippier.
I don't mind it.
I'd love to, but yeah.
I think I don't think
I'm going to be brave enough.
A lot who have gone off Marcus Rashford are going to come back tomorrow night.
His ownership is tiny.
The other one...
6.7%. I mean, how many are going to go back tomorrow? You think they'll go up to 70, 80%?
Yeah. The other one that I think people will dive in for tomorrow night, and I don't mind it, particularly as there's now that kind of extra captaincy against Leicester right at the end now, is Isak.
Okay.
Who's cheap. He's a good price in this surge. He's 8.6 or something. Have a look for us. My concern with Isak is I think 8.1. Bloody hell, what a price. My concern with that is I think there's every chance he won't start on Sunday.
Yeah.
Against Southampton, and then suddenly it becomes a really big gap from buying him tonight to potential 1 point a Sunday to the Arsenal fixture on Sunday the 7th, when you can come back and enter again or enter for the Brighton game, subject to the amount of transfers you've got left. But I think for you with more left and for others with more transfers left,
one to consider.
Yeah, if I had one extra, I'd get him in. I think it's literally
today?
that close for me.
You'd move today?
Or no, tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Forgive me. I'm just like a bit spaced out with my days of the week. This week, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I was just looking at the fixtures, mate. I just realised that our game tonight is at 7:45. I thought it was 8 o'clock. Well, I would have rocked up at the London Stadium 15 minutes late today.
And Pete would already be turning around and going home because you'd already be coupled down. Or does that only happen to my team?
That's only your team, mate.
Okay, fine.
It used to happen to us. Don't worry.
So Saturday. If I had Tony, I think I would go Tony, personally, Suj.
Yeah, I'm going to go Tony over Brighton, over Dunk. Yeah.
I think I will go Dunk over Raya. I think so. I think that's the sort of one. I know Raya's really good for safeties, but if he does concede, that one does strike me that it could be a 2-pointer. So I think Lewis Dunk at home to Wolves, Solly March the alternative, but don't see the team. And we'd have to consider as well this Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday thing. Dunk will definitely play. So I think Lewis Dunk will be for me Saturday. But I think the best choice probably is Tony. That does mean for some who've perhaps got Watkins and Haaland sitting there, a consideration maybe if you've got a load of transfers in the bank, Tony tonight.
Yep.
Captain him Saturday, chain it on something else on Sunday possibly. Sunday captaincy, Suj.
Haaland.
We see the team, don't we?
Away.
So
no brainer.
Well, Salah at home to Tottenham?
No. Again, the Newcastle boys, Southampton at home, bottom of the table. They'll win it 5.
If you've gone Isak,
they'll leak another goal.
It's Haaland again, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Haaland. I'm not even going against it.
I watched the majority of Fulham last night. Not overly threatening. Your phone's ringing. You're going to answer it, aren't you? Nah.
But I'm pretty sure it's me, mum. It is as well.
Hi, mum. Do you want to answer it? Okay, suit yourself.
It's only returning a call.
Okay. Sunday, Haaland. I think, obviously, Rashford against Villa, Salah against Tottenham, Isak against Southampton. Say about pick your battles. This is one you could pick the battle, I think.
I like Isak against Southampton and also Salah at home to Tottenham. We'll learn a lot about Tottenham tomorrow against Manchester United. We'll learn if you've got any character to come back. Like if you get beaten 3 or 4 tomorrow again.
I don't think... This time last week, I was telling people we'd get absolutely slapped at Newcastle. I think we'll get beat at Liverpool. We won't get slaps like that at Liverpool. Liverpool give you more of a chance than they. You know that.
They do, but they also offensively can be devastating.
Yep. Monday the 1st is obviously the single game day. Leicester against
ownership's
Everton.
Ownership's going to be very low across all the players. So I think Maddison will be the most captain.
Have a little cheeky look at Ian Nacho's ownership because I think a few had gambled and he's highly unlikely to be unavailable. For those who haven't seen, he basically picked up what looked like a groin injury, assisting Maddison to assist Vardy for the goal last night. He pulled up while running with the ball, basically grabbed his nuts and still managed to play the pass, and then Maddison got it through to Vardy and they scored. Without that contribution, they may have lost.
1.1%.
Is that all?
Yeah.
I thought more people might have gambled on that, actually. And
Stick to safe, Maddison.
Maddison's ownership is going to be strong enough, I think, where people have gone on. Saying 27.1%, that says to me that a lot of people are going to skip that Monday night, I think. One little solution, if you're sitting there going, oh, I still want something, at this stage I would possibly consider Jordan Pickford. Go to Thursday, tomorrow obviously against Newcastle, captain in Monday night and move it on to something else. But it's not great.
No.
It's probably a skip for those who aren't on. For those who've got James Maddison, looks like he'll probably be the standout one. I don't think there's enough in that to go, I'm going to go in for the one-nighter. Even though those Leicester Monday nights exist afterwards, they're never best. They're never best.
No.
Next Tuesday, Arsenal, Chelsea. I'm likely to be just left with Gabriel Martinelli.
Same for me.
That's me done. It would be, if you do want to go back into Chelsea, that's the right avenue to do it, just purely because they've got Bournemouth on the Saturday after and Nottingham Forest on the Saturday after that. And obviously there is extra fixtures at the end. They too, like City, have that 3-for-1 at the end, but it's against City United and Newcastle.
Come on.
Yeah. So, but I think perhaps if you're looking for an enabler to enable you to perhaps get an additional City player who's more expensive next Wednesday night, then obviously Enzo Fernandez obviously comes into the conversation, who is very capable of still picking up tiers in that fixture at Arsenal. But otherwise, that's it. And as I said, my intention will be to come off Martinelli the next night for a Manchester City player. And I'll leave that open to discuss next Wednesday, I think.
Yeah, exactly that. There is obviously Wednesday, Thursday games next week as well. I mean, just Liverpool, Fulham at
Wednesday,
home, or Haaland, West Ham at home.
I think it would be Haaland Wednesday and then Rashford against Brighton. I'd still go Rashford, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. That Haaland against West Ham at home versus Salah with Fulham at home, I really feel like, depending on where my rank is and what I'm looking at, I feel like I could go Salah,
It's another one you can be competitive. What I would say is, obviously, as both of those two teams play on the Sunday beforehand, we shouldn't rule out the possibility of rotation.
Yeah, we'll see the teams. That's the advantage. Like, imagine a situation where Haaland doesn't start for whatever reason and Salah does, and a lot of people don't own Salah. That could be...
It might be. That's a perfect case where I say leave myself open for next Wednesday night. If I saw the team and Haaland wasn't in it, if I move off Martinelli, yeah, could be.
Mahrez.
Could be.
Yeah, I get that.
Gundogan, Mahrez, Grealish, defensive player. I'm open to all the ideas. Probably not at this stage.
I feel like the time is gone for Rodri. He was great for the first 2/3 of the season, but now I'm less interested in you ticking along 5 points than someone that can get me goals and assists.
But he's still capable of more. I would say against an opponent like West Ham, who probably... I know you've been getting more in teams' faces recently, but probably
not with possession.
Probably don't against City. I'm thinking about the possibility of him picking up tackle tier. Probably not in that fixture. Passing is a certainty, but could he get you passing tackles and an attacking return and still get you a double point haul? Yes, he could, but it feels like I'd rather go with someone who might get me 2 goals, do like what Jota's done on Saturday, for example. I'd rather go down that route.
And an assist, didn't he?
No, just the 2 goals for Jota, isn't it? 6 is a goal from midfielder, didn't you?
Yes.
So,
shots here, cheeky.
Yeah, absolutely.
17 points. It's nice when a transfer works out.
Yeah, no, good one. Fair play. Shame you didn't get him the Monday night before.
Yeah. No. Cool. Anything from the weekend, James, that you saw that tickled your pickle in terms of tiering points and that kind of thing that we might want to be aware of, might raise a players?
Arsenal passing numbers not as high as I would have expected, considering they were chasing the whole game essentially
and dominating.
Gabriel and Holding still in the 70s. It's good. Zinchenko only 61 was a little bit surprising. Ben White actually had more, 68 passes. Partey with passing and tackles. Alcaraz and Walcott with shots. Paulinho back in the tackles against Leeds. He had 6. I think he had 3 after about 10 minutes, but it was the first time he picked up tackle tier in ages, Suj. About 6 games or so he'd not hit it.
Wow.
Nothing to speak of interest in Leeds, and that's reconfirmed after seeing that game last night. I would say Pereira hit shots again in 7.2. And obviously they've got an extra fixture next week against Liverpool. If you're really looking to dive down to that sort of area, you could consider him, but I'd rather go to a Brighton player, again, at that sort of valuation. The only tier in the Brentford-Villa game was Matthias Jensen tackles. Sam Johnson did keep 5 saves against Everton and will probably stay in goal, but as I said, he was extremely lucky not to be sent off last night. Calvert-Lewin returned for Everton. It certainly helps them offensively. He did have 2 shots on target. Iheanacho shots here, as was Daka against Wolves at the weekend. They played with Iheanacho at 10 and they finished that way last night once Vardy came on as well. But I think there's every chance his season might be over, unfortunately. Otherwise, he could have been a cheeky one to punt. Robertson, Van Dijk, Konate, all in the passing against Nottingham Forest. Trent Alexander-Arnold not, despite now playing this inverted position. What's interesting is Robertson 85, Van Dijk 90, Konate 82 of the passing. Trent 45, Fabinho, who admittedly only played an hour, 34. Now, Thiago came on for the last half hour, and they'll look for him a lot when he's on the ball. He's at 28. So he was going at sort of a rate that was much closer to pass per minute, if you will. But I imagine what probably happened is Forest just decided to let, when Liverpool were moving into their back three, have the ball and were saying, you're not passing into there. Yeah. And so Liverpool have had to bypass it. If you look at Jordan Henderson, who's been playing a higher position, 48 passes, and look at Mo. 42 passes for Mo Salah.
That's a lot, isn't it?
The only Nottingham Forest player, you know who was top, didn't you, for Nottingham Forest players for passing in that game?
Well, they scored 78. They only made 78 passes in total.
Which was the second lowest ever recorded by Opta in a Premier League game.
Nico Williams.
Keylor Navas had 12 passes.
Fucking hell, the goalkeeper.
Danilo had 11.
Wow. Goalkeeper had 12 passes, more than any other player on the pitch.
Niakate and Nico Williams completed 3.
Wow. What's the point in turning up?
I'll tell you a great one. It's non-Premier League, but Irogbenham, who's a young player on loan from Villa at QPR, played over an hour in their victory at Burnley at the weekend in midfield, didn't complete a pass, and they won.
Wow.
Have that for a stat. Bournemouth-West Ham from Sunday. Despite the comfy win for West Ham, passing numbers for Bournemouth, look at them. Metham 86, Stevens 96, Lerma 72. And they do still have some good fixtures to come, but I don't think you'll go in there at the moment.
They did dominate the ball for large periods.
It helps when you're 2-0 up in the first 12 minutes away from home.
Yeah, and we're good without the ball in terms of our shape is always pretty decent. We fall back into line and just let them have it, and they can't play through us. So I'm not surprised to see those Bournemouth numbers. Yeah,
the only Newcastle player to hit passing here at the weekend, Bruno Guimaraes. It felt like every outfield player hit shots here, but actually no, it was only the front three: Joe Linton, Isak, and Murphy. Sharon Byrne hit tackles. Kane still with shots on. As I always say with him, as shit as we are, you don't doubt him in front of goal, right?
He's my biggest fear tomorrow night. In that I don't own him, and I think the majority will captain him tomorrow.
I think
in terms of ownership, do you think?
No,
I think a lot
Rashford,
will.
Mate.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm only going by what Fergie and Paul said on theirs, and they're going Kane, both of them.
Oh well, they're better managers than us.
Well, exactly that. That's my biggest fear, and also much like Declan Rice was up for his job interview against Arsenal a week and a half ago, it is Kane's job interview. So he'd want to perform well in front of his new prospective employers, wouldn't he?
Cut that out, Nico. Mind you, I'm editing the audio, so I'll just take it out if I want to. I think it's worth saying on Kane, and again, this applies even more than the Martinelli. You can definitely go without
Kane.
Yeah.
Well, you're preempting a number of questions that we've had in on Twitter, James.
Okay, we'll come back to it. I think what I would say is if you own, you're not coming off ahead of the game tomorrow night, and you're probably still keeping for Liverpool. It's probably a sell next midweek at this stage. But there isn't a game day left where I could look at Kane and say, you're the best captaincy. There isn't one. He's always, if you look at Saturday the 6th, Tottenham have got Palace at home, City have got Leeds at home, Liverpool got Brentford at home. Saturday the 13th, Tottenham go to Villa. You'd argue Watkins is a better shout, but Rashford's got Wolves at home. There are others as well. The following Saturday, Tottenham, Brentford at that early kickoff. You've got Arsenal at Forest, Liverpool at home to Villa, United at Bournemouth. Final days away to Leeds. Okay, yeah, punt it, but is it the best one? Man City have a fixture, so no. So he's expendable.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the question is obviously because of his price, he's expensive. What do you do with the money? Now, you don't have to spend the money, but a lot of people already own Haaland, already own Salah. So then it's a question of where are we putting the money? Sonny's obviously not worth his price tag this year. Bruno's got a bit of a knock at the moment. So some people might be looking at Kevin De Bruyne. Like, do you think De Bruyne outscores Kane for the rest of the season? Probably.
Not necessarily. And the other thing, of course, with going a City player in that situation is the reality is, are you going to captain it?
No.
Now, there's the additional fixtures over Kane, but you should bear that in mind. It's perfectly fine to keep hold of Harry. I'm just saying he does become expendable. I'd probably want to look more at a defensive player. So, if it becomes clear on a Laporte or Diaz this time next week, I'd more be looking to do that. I think a lot of people may end up in a 4-5-1 at the end because of the investment that will go into City right late on. I think those who don't will probably end up having Isak. And if you've got Isak for that Monday night, you won't. But otherwise, I think a lot of teams may end up finishing this Sky season with 4-5-1.
Yep.
With just Haaland up front.
Cool. Do you want to get some questions on Twitter?
Have we done all this? There's nothing really to come out from last night. Mings and Konsa and both Fulham centre-backs,
said that,
both in the passing last night.
There was 2 clean sheets yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, look, Villa defensively doing great at the moment, but I think the fixtures, their last 5 they're tough. They've still got to play United and Liverpool away, Tottenham and Brighton at home as well, and I think Wolves away is their other fixture. So they've got a tough 5 left. Again, could you hold on to an Ollie Watkins? Yes, but I think timing-wise, you've got your choice now of 14 other teams. Then he's probably like Watkins to Isak. If you're already sitting there with Haaland, I'd be very tempted. If you need to stay with a forward, Leeds Leicester last night. Not surprisingly, there was no passing in that. Ian Asho shots here. Samari Tielemans tackles. Eze shots here again for Palace last night. He nearly scored with a brilliant long ranger. But I think that's another one. If you've gone in on Palace, although the fixtures are good that's left, you could chain that on now to many others.
Yeah. Okay. Should we get into some of these questions on Twitter?
Yes, let's do that.
And we'll do the quick and easy ones first, and then the ones that require a bit of discussion. And what I mean by that, James, is the ABs, the simple ones.
Okay, you want ABs. Go on.
Well, kind of ABs. Editor says, when's the best time to move Brendan Johnson from Forest on? Took a gamble that's not paid off. I mean, looking at it, Forest play tonight, and you can move off tomorrow if you wanted to go to Newcastle or Manchester United, or they play on Saturday and you can come off on Sunday to shitloads of teams.
Yeah, the only thing that's interesting with that is from a price perspective, the ideal would probably be, say, go to a Brighton player. Mm-hmm. But obviously they play Brighton tonight, they play on Saturday, and so do Brighton. So it's arguably next Thursday to a Brighton player, if that's what you want. Otherwise,
just get it done.
If he's not in the team tonight, I'd get it done tonight. But I think he will be. Do you think Brighton players are the key? I would. Go for? He's on pens as well, Johnson. I wouldn't rush to move it on tonight, but I think after Saturday you're looking to move it somewhere. Yeah, Brentford away is not a terrible fixture at the weekend, and I would imagine he'll come back in. There was probably something structurally that they, as highlighted by sort of Trent and Fabinho's passing numbers at the weekend, that they wanted to do, which is part why Johnson was left out. I think he'll be back in tonight. Okay. We have a question coming in from FPL Hank Cameron. I say Cam. Looking at bringing in Haaland tomorrow, which is now today, without a fixture gain. He's had enough of being destroyed. I think the rest of the league has as well, mate. Saying money wasn't an object, would you sell Kane or Saka for Haaland with the other remaining in your team until the end of the season? Money, no object? Yeah. I'd say Kane. Because Saka you might still want the captaincy, whereas Kane you can go without the captaincy. And it does free you up more money. I know money, no object is in the question, but it does free you up more money. No, if money, no object, have Saka. Do you think Kane's going to outscore Saka? I'll tell you why as well. It's also the preciousness of some of those midfield positions that might allow you to go into your likes of Grealish and Gundogan and stuff if you want to. Whereas I've already said there's a fair chance up front people might move away from it. So if its money is irrelevant, then I would sell Saka.
I would want a second
Paul
alternative.
and Fergie think captain Harry tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I would captain. I would see if you've got an alternative Arsenal captaincy choice though, because if you don't, then for captaincy, Arsenal is more important than Tottenham.
Well, it's worth saying if Saka's your only one, then you can want Saka for captaincy next Tuesday.
Yeah.
But if you've got others, I'd probably move it.
Should I sell Kane for Haaland today or wait until after the fixtures tonight? That was 3 hours ago. So, no, you don't want to sell Kane for Haaland today, do you?
If you're going to captain Haaland tonight and Haaland Sunday and Kane's got United and Liverpool...
You're not going to captain him.
I think it's perfectly...
Just get it done.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but it's reasonable.
Shadebi says, Isak or Rashford for captaincy tomorrow?
I think, honestly, if I had both, I'd go Isak.
It's down to, again, chasing versus covering off a little bit as well, isn't it? If you want to make up some ground and gamble a little bit, go Isak.
I mean, in predictions, I predicted both Manchester United and Newcastle both to win 3-1. Rashford will get you more from the minutes perspective.
Isak's goal involvement's great.
I would really gamble Isak, yeah.
McAllister or Mitoma, says Shadebi. I'd go Mitoma, but McAllister's got all round.
What's this for? To buy or?
Yeah, I guess.
See, interestingly, McAllister might end up playing a deeper role tonight, which in a roundabout's way could even be better for Sky.
In terms of passing tackles,
brings him
all
back
round
into
game.
the
That's what I'm
passing
saying.
numbers.
Yeah, because Dark Invader says the same. McAllister or Mitoma. I'm unsure on which one. Watkins is the one he's selling. McAllister all round. Mitoma high ceiling.
I still think McAllister will play the majority of games at 10. I would Mitoma for me at this stage. I'd gamble the upside on that and the scoring potential. It's worth saying on Brighton, I mean, from the Manchester United game next Thursday, they'll have 7 games left, and many in the league will only have 4 left. But it is worth remembering they've got United and City at home still to play, and they've still got to go to Arsenal away, Newcastle away, and Villa away. So although the extra fixtures are there, a lot of them are tough, but there's still every reason to dive into them next Thursday because the value is so good.
We have a question coming in from FPL Party. He currently has 1 Brighton midfielder. Should I get more Brighton players, especially for captaincy against Wolves? We can only captain 1 player, so you don't need more than 1.
No, I mean, I've looked at it in terms of if I needed the money, say, if I wasn't going Haaland tonight, I'll make a different move, and I'm probably not going to need to be honest, having already dumped March in there. I think with like a March and Dunk, that's perfectly reasonable. Mitoma, McAllister's mentioned are fine. I wouldn't gamble on anything else bar 1. Jason Steele is 5.8. And if for some reason someone's landed with something like Emi Martinez in goal and Steele starts tonight, I would strongly consider that move. Because that really could be the difference maker between if they're in the team and you wanted them, something like Laporte and Diaz at the end. Okay. Which most wouldn't be able to get to if you wanted that sort of thing, or De Bruyne and that combination. I think most will have to, and he might be the right choice anyway, and we'll talk about it more next week, but likes of John Stones might be the right choice anyway, Akanji. Aki, apparently hamstring injury is apparently not as bad as feared. He's certainly not going to be involved tonight, I'm sure. But he might be in a position where he comes back and we need to tread a bit more carefully with Laporte as the natural left footer. As said, Grealish, Gundogan, Mahrez, good differentials in there. I mean, I would want to really, bar the 2 captaincies, I'd really want to end up with probably 9 Man City players from Sunday the 21st of May. But I won't. Can't.
So with that in mind, we'll get to the last question of the show, James. Comes from Dave Simple Goal, who says, who are the top 5 point scorers, Haaland excluded, between now and the end of the season?
Who are the top 5 point scorers just in terms of points, yeah?
Yeah, he doesn't say positionally. I mean, goalkeeper-wise, you've got to look at Alisson. Alisson, in both FPL and this format, he scores considerably more than Ederson does.
I think, although they burnt me before, I think it'll be City players. I think they'll be City players.
Roy in midfield?
I'm not sure it's worth the more versus a Grealish or a Gundogan, to be honest. Really not convinced about that at all, particularly when you're not captain it. And that might be the difference that gets you 2 City players rather than just the 1.
Understandable.
a no for me on De Bruyne at the moment. If it works out I land Sunday 21st and it's affordable for me, then I'm not saying I won't consider it. Not at this moment. I'd rather be looking at Stones, Grealish, Gundogan as the main alternatives. Mahrez is the dodgiest one because Foden's back fit now as well.
I think Salah's going to be up there.
But he's probably he's the one that's most capable of doing what he did at Sheffield United and getting a hat-trick at the weekend, right?
I think Salah's going to be in the top 5 point scorers between now and the end of the season. That's hardly a revolutionary statement, but I do think Salah's going to be in there. I mean, he's top midfield point scorer now already. I think one of the Arsenal midfielders is definitely going to be in there, in and about. But I can't disagree with it. I feel like Alisson will outscore Ederson. So it might be a case of Alisson.
I still think Rashford will be right up there as well with the additional fixtures.
Yeah, I'm wary about him coming back from injury. That's the only thing with Rashford. Like, I know he got minutes.
I'm wary about him playing Tottenham tomorrow night.
Yeah, something inside me is like he's going to come back and hopefully he won't have another second setback or breakdown.
This is why I've kind of come to the conclusion to go De Gea for Raya as the keeper change is to give me that insurance. Yeah. In case.
Yeah, Dave, we haven't named 5 players there. I hope we've kind of given you...
Rashford's...
Salah.
Laporte, if Aki's out injured for the season, but it looks like it's probably not. Not Ederson. Stones. Good. I'm going to put Gundog in there. I think it's a cheeky one. And Grealish. Nah, not Mahrez. Not Mahrez. Grealish, Gundogan, Stones, Diaz, Rashford.
Salah. Alisson. There you go.
Nunes.
We're just throwing some names out. There's going to be quite a few, and that's not to disregard maybe even a Lewis Dunk if he's getting 5s and 10s week in, week out.
Yeah,
sneak into
the only thing is, you look at those United, Arsenal, Newcastle, City, Villa games, those 5, which is 5 of what they've got left, and you do wonder how many clean sheets might be there.
Yeah.
That's all. They're capable. Look, they drew 0-0 with United at the weekend, right? Over 120.
Cool. Although it was a cup game, so the mindset's a little bit different where you want to be a bit more cagey because a loss means you're
Maybe. But it was a good 0-0. It was an enjoyable game.
Yeah. Cool. That's it. That's all the questions we've had in on Twitter, James. If you enjoy playing Sky Fantasy Football, you want access to James's spreadsheet and Sky Planner, it's the only way we can get through this podcast, to be honest with you. You might want to consider joining our Patreon, patreon.com/PlanetFPL. Where there's also a Slack community available from basic tier, advanced tier, get additional videos every day. Intermediate gives you access to all of the contents and prize leagues as well. Patreon.com/PlanetFPL. Maybe even you could wait till Monday because it's the first of the month. But if you want to get involved, just get involved. It's a few quid. We'd love to have you there. Clash of the Correspondents tomorrow, James?
Yeah, it's City, West Ham with Johnny Pringle and Chris Stone. And I'm really hoping Johnny's going to be in a good mood.
Good.
Because if he is, I will be as well.
Arsenal will have lost.
That's the only joy in my life right now.
Indeed. Listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Stay safe, look after yourselves. Back at you tomorrow. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great week. Good luck. Play it your way. Cue music, please, man, child.